When Paramahansa came across Kriyananda, as he became, I've forgotten what his original name was. Well, he was a young man who'd read Paramahansa's book in New York, came across it in a bookshop, read it. And I mean, he was a very young man. I don't know, 20 or something, younger. I'm not sure of his age now, but very young. I mean, virtually next day or something, got on a bus. A several-day journey across America, US, to Los Angeles, where Paramahansa was. And just blurted out from the beginning, I want to be your disciple. Paramahansa looks at him and thinks, oh. And he says, oh, well, I can see your karma, and it's a good karma, and or at least he said that in hindsight. And accepted him on the spot, which was amazing in the context of, well, the busyness of Paramahansa and the sort of ashram type setup he'd got in Los Angeles. And Paramahansa's very experienced in his own view by then, of course. And I suppose got it right in a sense. And Kriyananda has gone on to be an incredible disciple of Paramahansa. I don't mean I agree with all that the two of them believe, but I have been blessed by such. I haven't necessarily taken it all on board. I've had other influences in my life, of course. And I think, in a sense, we all have, but some people, like Kriyananda, tried to hone that down to an overwhelming experience of his chosen guru, so to speak. I mean, in a sense, it's not like the Jesus story of, you have not chosen me, I have chosen you. You know, in this case, a young man who had great need, apparently, came across something that spoke to him, and he gave all to it, fanatically, instantly. And Paramahansa just thinks, oh, right, okay then. And, you know, within no time at all, put him in charge of the men in his community that he was running there. Yeah, how amazing. In Los Angeles. And as it turns out, in the long run, rightly so. Young man was discredited within the organisation he was in after Paramahansa's passing on, death, as the world would say it. And Kriyananda leaves, does nothing, and sets up an alternative establishment that's incredibly successful. And the two establishments exist now. The original one, Self-Realization Fellowship, and Ananda, which is named after Kriyananda, of course, and so on. They're not the same. They're the same sort of tracing back to the same founder, Paramahansa, of course. But it's a different view, isn't it? I suppose I see our situation as like Paramhansa. Most of the world does not entertain us, as in the Jesus story. I pray not for the world, but for those who thou hast given me, those that have ears to hear, those that were yours in some sense, spiritual sense, and that you give me. And of course, Kriyananda, as a young man, comes to Paramahansa, and Paramahansa, oh, I see, he's come from all the way across the continent. Well, we'll respect this earnest request, most earnest. Great, you're in. Everyone else is amazed, but then the master does what the master is supposed to do, and he's always right, you know. Or at least that's the declared wisdom of the establishment, you know. And I see our situation is like that too. Some people just respond to us. They're drawn to us like a magnet. And just like in teaching, you find that you're the ideal of one or two of those students in front of you, and they're modelling themselves on you. They're totally with you. And they're everything to you. They make the whole career in your teaching utterly worthwhile. Absolute blessing. I've had one or two outstanding students. Best friends in the world they became. Was in business with one, small business. Nothing too impressive, but, you know, we were in business together most earnestly. And it wasn't business, it was part of our spiritual life. And another, well, she was female and married her, of course. Beautiful. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.